This week, we finally got a Senate debate between Republican Senator Ted Cruz and his Democratic challenger, Representative Colin Allred. And to most people who watch this debate, Ted Cruz got his butt kicked. Plain and simple, Colin Allred outplayed him throughout that entire debate. And that is absolutely devastating for Ted Cruz. The two candidates sparred on issues ranging from abortion to immigration to the economy, all the way to January 6th. And that, in my opinion, is where Colin Allred made his basically just the killing blow to Ted Cruz's campaign, to the point where Cruz's career may have ended in this debate on Tuesday night. And I'll explain more about why I think that could happen, but I want you to watch this clip because this is absolutely a masterclass in how to deal with these people, and Colin Allred absolutely nailed it. Here it is.
To respond.
Oh, that was really something. I have to say, you can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't, and it's not funny because you're a threat to democracy.
Sure.
I was on the House floor when we went through the votes. I remember when you objected to the results in Arizona. Y'all at home might remember where you were on January 6th, what you were doing. I know where I was, and I know where he was. I remember when they told us to reach under our seats for these gas masks. I didn't know we had, because they had deployed tear gas in the rotunda. The officers locked all the doors. We barred the doors the president walks through to deliver the State of the Union with furniture that we usually use to hold paper. And I texted my wife, Allie, who was 7 months pregnant with our son, Cameron, and at home with our son, Jordan, who wasn't yet 2. Whatever happens, I love you. And I took off my suit jacket, and I was prepared to defend the House floor from the mob. At the same time, after he'd gone around the country lying about the election, after he'd been the architect of the attempt to overthrow that election, when that mob came, Senator Cruz was hiding in a supply closet. And that's okay. I don't want him to get hurt by the mob. I really don't. This election is his accountability. You cannot just be patriotic when your side wins. If for the first time in 250 years, this project of ours, this shared American project, that we did not have a peaceful transfer of power, the folks responsible have to be held accountable. That's why Liz Cheney has endorsed me, has got involved in this campaign, and is saying to Texans everywhere, do not put Ted Cruz back in a position of authority, because he's done it once, he'll do it again.
That's how you do it. But there's something else I want to point out about that clip. It's not just the words that he said. Obviously, that is the most powerful part of it. But look at his demeanor. Listen to the way he articulates himself. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him, right? He does seem to get a little bit angry throughout that, but he keeps it in check. He is very level, very metered, very controlled. But not once did he slip up. Not once did he stumble between his words. And maybe it's just because I'm so used to politicians and showing you clips of people screwing up that I'm blown away by that. And believe me when I tell you this right now, Texas, if you make the right decision for your senator on November 5th, that man could very well be a future president of the United States. He has the temperament. He has the personality. He has the look. I mean, let's be honest. And he's got the talking points. I'm watching this, not seeing a man running for Senate. I see a man who a few years down the road could be running this country. That is how impressed I was with Colin Allred. And I have talked a lot about this race between Allred and Cruz. I had not necessarily paid a whole hell of a lot of attention to Colin Allred, but Democrats, y'all better be paying attention, because if we can win this Senate seat, which is winnable, Colin Allred needs to be in the conversation for 2028. And if Harris wins and she runs for re-election in 2028, maybe we're looking at a vice president if Tim Walz doesn't want to do a second term, or maybe Colin Allred 2032. I mean, I'm not kidding. This guy has a long political career ahead of him, and it is going to be phenomenal to watch. I am rarely blown away by the performance of politicians, but I've got to tell you, what I watched throughout that debate, not just that moment I showed you, Allred has it. Like, he has it, that it factor. This guy is going places. But before he can go anywhere, Texas has to vote. And that brings me back to the debate itself. Ted Cruz did not do well. He repeatedly tried to say that, Colin Allred is just like Kamala Harris. He votes with Biden all the time. Because he couldn't really attack Allred himself. So he tries to say, nope, he's just another Kamala Harris. Nope, he's just another Joe Biden. And that's what we hear from Republican candidates when they have nothing of substance to say. They try to compare them to these other Democrats that they think people don't like. And usually that's a loser tactic, and that is exactly what Ted Cruz engaged in. But Cruz needed a victory here. He could not afford a loss. The polls show us that this race is a dead heat right now. Even an internal Republican poll from the Super PAC, the Senate Leadership Fund, came out this week showing that Cruz was only 1 point ahead, and that was in a poll that skews heavily to the right. And he's only 1 point ahead. With this knockout blow during this debate, it could put Allred over the edge because it happened so close to the election. If he gets any kind of bounce from this that sustains for 2.5 weeks, it's over. He gets it. And I also have to add this, something that Allred said during his closing statements that, again, I just found to be brilliant. He said, quote, "We're all Americans, we're all Texans," because they're speaking to Texans. "We need to come together around our shared values." That's the opposite of what Ted Cruz does. He has introduced angertainment on podcasts. When the lights went out, he went to Cancun. So he's hitting Ted Cruz on 2 very important points there. One, Ted Cruz wants to be famous. He started a podcast while being a sitting member of the Senate, because that's apparently not a full-time job. He's got time to just sit around and do a podcast, kind of like Matt Gaetz and a couple other members of Congress. So little to do in D.C., let's put out a podcast. Oh, this is great. And the Cancun thing, something that some Texans may have forgotten. But Allred was right there to remind them, in your time of need, this man fled the country and was only forced to come back after he was shamed into coming back. So Texas, I know this is a long shot, even with the polls so close, but watch that debate. And you tell me which one of those men you would rather have representing your state. The fighter who also can be calm and rational, or the smug, arrogant man who abandoned you when you needed him most. That is the choice Texas has to make, and let's hope they make the right choice. Hi everyone, this here is little Athena, and Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet, so please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.